Every woman wants to know the secret to making a man's mind spiral with desire, not just for your body, but for you. And while confidence, chemistry, and connection are all part of that equation, there's something that many women underestimate: the power of words. Because here's the truth: a man doesn't just fantasize about your touch, he fantasizes about your voice, about the things you'd say if you let go of control for just a second, the way you'd whisper something unexpected in his ear, leaving him wondering what else you're bold enough to say. See, most men won't admit this, but the right phrase said at the right moment can completely undo them. It's not about vulgarity, it's about intention, about the way your tone, your confidence, and your emotional intelligence collide to make him feel both desired and chosen. In this video, I'm going to share 6 dirty talk phrases men fantasize about hearing from you. Phrases that make him see you as the kind of woman who knows what she wants, knows how to express it, and isn't afraid to bring a little fire into the connection. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from tonight? I love knowing where this little corner of the internet reaches. So grab your tea, settle in, and let's decode what really drives a man wild, not with explicitness, but with energy. Because when a woman learns how to speak to a man's imagination, she becomes unforgettable. When a woman says this, everything stops for a man. Because it's not just dirty talk, it's psychological seduction. It tells him something every man secretly wants to hear: that he has an effect on you, that he has the power to make you feel something deep, uncontrollable, and real. See, men crave impact. We might pretend we're all about the visual, the curve of your body, the way you move, but deep down what we're addicted to is influence. We want to know that we can reach you on a level no one else does. So when you lean in, look him in the eyes and whisper, "You have no idea what you do to me," you're feeding that primal part of him that lives to be felt. You're saying, "You affect me, you get under my skin, you make me lose control just a little." And that's intoxicating to a man, because most of the time he's used to being the one trying to impress, to chase, to get a reaction. But when you turn the tables, when you make him feel like he's the one who's pulling something powerful out of you, suddenly he's hooked. He feels like what's happening between you isn't just physical, it's chemical. Let's break down why this works so powerfully. When you say, "You have no idea what you do to me," you're not describing anything explicit. You're inviting his imagination to do the work for you. And the male imagination, it's a very visual, very responsive thing. You're giving him a blank canvas, and his mind will fill it with everything he wishes you meant. It's not about spelling things out. It's about suggesting enough to make him wonder. That mystery, that gap between what's said and what's implied, is what keeps him coming back for more. But here's the secret ingredient most women mistone. This line only works when it's genuine, when there's real energy behind it. You can't throw it out like a script. You have to feel it. Because when you do, he feels it too. Maybe you're saying it while you're holding eye contact a little too long. Maybe you're smiling in that soft, knowing way that says, "I'm trying to keep my composure, but you're making it hard." It's the subtle loss of control in your voice that makes him melt. That's what turns a man on more than any physical move, the moment he realizes you're as affected by him as he is by you. But here's the deeper truth. Saying something like this isn't about manipulation. It's about connection. It's about letting him see your feminine vulnerability. The kind that says, "You touch something in me I don't show to everyone." When a woman can be that honest, that open, it disarms a man, because he doesn't just feel wanted, he feels trusted. And trust, my friend, is the foundation of the sexiest kind of chemistry there is. So next time you're close, when the tension is thick, when you can feel that spark humming in the air, don't overthink it. Don't plan the perfect line. Just let it slip out softly. "You have no idea what you do to me." Then pause. Let the silence do the rest. Because in that silence, he'll be drowning in the thought of what you might be feeling. And that's the kind of moment a man doesn't forget. There's something magnetic about this phrase. Simple, effortless, yet devastatingly powerful. When you tell a man, "I've been thinking about you all day," you're not just communicating desire, you're creating mental intimacy. You're letting him know that he's been occupying space in your mind when he wasn't even around. And to a man, that's intoxicating. See, most women underestimate how much men crave to be desired. We often think men are the ones doing all the chasing, the ones constantly thinking about sex or attraction. But the truth, men want to feel wanted just as deeply. They want to feel like they've been lingering in your thoughts long after the last text, the last touch, the last goodbye. That's what this phrase does. It feeds that emotional hunger. It tells him, you're not just another man. You're the one who distracts me when I should be focused, the one whose energy stays with me. And now let's talk about the psychology behind why it works so well. When you say, I've been thinking about you all day, you're creating a bridge between his physical presence and your emotional world. You're letting him know that he exists beyond the moment, that even when life is busy, even when you're in your own world, he somehow sneaks into your mind. That image of you somewhere in the middle of your day, lost in a thought about him, hits a man deeply. It makes him feel chosen. And for most men, being chosen by a woman they desire is one of the strongest turn-ons there is. But let's be clear, it's not just about the words, it's about how you say them. If you toss it out casually over text, it's nice. But if you let it drop softly, almost as a confession, I've been thinking about you all day, it lands differently. It has that warm, lingering tone that makes him pause. He'll replay that sentence in his head, wondering what exactly you were thinking about. Was it something he said? The way he touched you, the look he gave you before you parted ways, you see, that's the beauty of it. You don't have to specify. His imagination will do the work for you. And trust me, it will go exactly where you want it to. Now, this phrase also carries emotional depth because when you say it, you're not just being flirty, you're being vulnerable. You're showing that you let someone in enough to occupy your thoughts. That's real intimacy, the kind that builds both anticipation and emotional connection. And for a man who values more than just the physical, this line hits his heart before it hits his body. So here's a little secret. Timing is everything. Say this line when he least expects it, maybe after a long day when he texts you goodnight, or in the morning before he heads out, or even while you're together, right after a moment of silence, when the air between you is thick with tension. Look him in the eyes, let a small smile tug at your lips, and say it softly. You know, I've been thinking about you all day. Watch what happens. You'll see it in his face. That subtle shift, that flicker of pride, that spark of something primal. You've just lit up his ego and his emotions in one move, because now he doesn't just feel wanted. He feels special. He feels seen. And that's what most men fantasize about. Not just a woman who turns them on, but a woman who makes them feel like she can't help but think about them. It's not about seduction. It's about sincerity, about letting him know that even in your own busy, beautiful life, he's the one who keeps slipping into your thoughts. And that is a feeling he'll chase again and again. There's a reason this phrase lives rent free in a man's fantasies. Because when you say, I love when you take control, you're doing something rare. You're giving him permission to lead while showing that you trust him enough to let go. And that combination, desire mixed with trust, hits a man in the most powerful way possible. See, a lot of people misunderstand masculine energy. It's not about dominance or control for its own sake. It's about direction, about the instinct to protect, lead, and create safety in the connection. And when a woman tells a man, I love when you take control, what she's really saying is, I feel safe enough with you to surrender a little. That right there is what every man craves, not power over you, but power with you. The power that comes from being trusted by a strong, confident woman who chooses to relax in his presence. Now, let's break down why this line hits so deep. When a woman is confident, self-assured, and independent in every other part of her life, the idea that she wants to be led, even just in a moment, is wildly arousing to a man. It's not about control. It's about contrast, because he knows that in your world, you probably make the decisions, you lead the conversations, you hold yourself together. So when you look at him, maybe with that slow, tasing smile and say, I love when you take control, it tells him that he's earned a side of you that no one else gets. It's an invitation, a challenge, and a compliment all in one breath. You're telling him that his assertiveness turns you on, that you notice when he takes the lead, that his confidence doesn't just impress you, it affects you, and that makes him feel like a man. But here's what makes this phrase even more powerful. It speaks to something emotional, not just physical. Because at its core, this isn't just about control. It's about connection. It's about you saying, I trust your energy enough to let you guide this moment. and then men. The emotionally intelligent ones, the ones who care, they don't take that lightly. They know it's not easy for a woman to relax into that space unless she feels respected, valued, and safe. So when you say it intentionally. Let your tone carry that mix of warmth and challenge. You might say it in a whisper right in the middle of a playful moment, or after he's done something that made you feel both excited and protected. You could even send it as a text, short, confident, and dripping with suggestion. You know what I love? When you take control, that line is going to replay in his mind all day. He'll feel proud, desired, and deeply connected to the masculine energy within him. And that's the kind of thing that transforms chemistry into obsession. But here's the deeper layer. This phrase also reveals your emotional intelligence. It shows that you understand the dance of polarity, the balance between masculine and feminine energy that keeps attraction alive. When you affirm his ability to lead, you're not giving up your power. You're playing with it. You're saying, I'm strong enough to be soft. I'm confident enough to let you in. And that's what drives men wild, not submission, but choice. The knowledge that you could lead, but you choose to let him because it feels good to trust him in that moment. So the next time you're close, when the energy shifts, when you feel that tension between comfort and desire, lean in. Let your eyes do half the talking. Then with that soft, knowing tone, say, I love when you take control. Watch his reaction. Watch his posture change. Watch how the air thickens. Because what you've just done isn't just to turn him on. You've awakened something primal, something emotional, something he'll remember long after the moment ends. And that is where real seduction begins. This phrase might not sound like classic dirty talk, but trust me, it's one of the sexiest things a man can hear. Because while physical attraction gets his attention, emotional safety is what makes him stay. And this line tells him he's giving you both. When you whisper, you make me feel so safe with you. You're doing more than complimenting him. You're affirming one of his deepest masculine instincts, the desire to protect, to provide, and to make the woman he cares for feel completely at ease in his presence. And that right there is the heartbeat of male attraction. See, men are often taught that their worth comes from their strength, their ability to fix things, to handle life, to keep chaos at bay. But when a woman tells him he makes her feel safe, it reaches beyond ego. It hits the emotional core he rarely lets anyone touch. It says, I trust you. It says, you calm me. It says, when I'm with you, I can stop being in control for a moment and just feel. And that's powerful. Because a man who makes you feel safe doesn't just want to be seen as your lover. He wants to be seen as your home. Now, let's break down why this phrase works on so many levels. When a man hears you make me feel safe, he hears respect, appreciation, and attraction all at once. It tells him his presence has value, that he's not just physically desirable, but emotionally grounding. You're showing that he gives you something rare in today's world. Peace, and peace to a man is proof that he's doing something right. But here's the secret. This phrase becomes truly magnetic when it's said with a touch of feminine warmth. You don't say it like a statement. You say it like a confession. Maybe after he's pulled you close and you just melt into him for a second. You take a small breath and it slips out. You make me feel so safe with you. That's the kind of moment that will play in his mind for days. Not because it was bold or provocative, but because it was real. See, what most people forget is that intimacy isn't built only on sparks, it's built on trust. And trust is deeply sensual when it's expressed this way. When a man feels you relax in his arms, when he senses that your walls drop around him, it triggers something in him that goes beyond lust. It makes him protective of your heart. That's why this line works better than any over-the-top flirtation. It speaks to the side of him that wants to earn your softness, the part that wants to be the one person you can fully exhale around. And here's what makes it even more potent. It subtly tells him that he's not just exciting you physically, he's soothing you emotionally. You're connecting his masculinity to your emotional safety. And that's a link that no man forgets. Say this at the right time, not during the high of the moment, but after it, when things slow down, when your heartbeat has steadied and you're both wrapped in that quiet afterglow, you look at him, maybe trace a finger along his chest and whisper, you make me feel so safe with you. That's not just romance, that's bonding. Because what you've just done is make him feel essential. You've told him that what he gives you isn't just pleasure, it's peace. And that's the kind of affirmation that awakens his emotional connection to you. in a way that pure attraction never could. So don't underestimate this phrase. It may sound soft, but in a man's heart, it hits harder than any provocative whisper. Because at the end of the day, what every man secretly wants, even the confident ones, the tough ones, the I've got it all together ones, is to know that his presence makes a woman feel safe enough to just be. And when you give him that feeling, you don't just turn him on, you touch something sacred. There's something electric about this line. It's the kind of phrase that doesn't just make a man remember a moment, it revives it. When you say, I can't stop thinking about what you did last time, you're not just being playful. You're triggering one of a man's most powerful desires, the need to feel memorable. Because for a man, nothing is more exciting than knowing that something he did left an impression on you that still lingers. You're telling him, without spelling it out, that you've been replaying him in your mind. That somewhere in your day, between meetings, coffee, or scrolling through your phone, his touch, his voice, or that look he gave you slipped back into your thoughts. And that to a man is irresistible. What makes this phrase work so beautifully is its implied intimacy. You're not describing anything explicit. You're letting him imagine what last time meant. It could have been a kiss that got a little too deep, a look that held too long, a moment where the chemistry between you two almost cracked the air. The point isn't the detail, it's the memory. You're telling him that moment mattered, and I haven't let it go. This line works on multiple psychological levels. First, it feeds his ego in the best way. It tells him that he made you feel something powerful enough to remember. But it also feeds connection because it brings you both back to a shared emotional space, a private world that only the two of you understand. Men crave that feeling of exclusivity, that sense that they've created something special no one else could replicate. When you say this, it tells him that his presence lingers, that he still has an invisible hold over your thoughts. But here's what makes it really powerful: the delivery. You can text it. You can whisper it when you're close. You can even say it with a teasing smile, your tone playful, but low enough to make him lean in. The key is to sound effortless, like you didn't mean to say it, but it just slipped out. Imagine this: you're laughing, talking, and then you pause for a second. You look at him and say quietly, I can't stop thinking about what you did last time. Then you let the silence hang. Let him fill in the blanks. Because his imagination will go wild, and that's exactly what you want. You're not feeding him fantasy. You're planting a thought that he'll replay again and again. And here's the deeper layer. This phrase doesn't just create desire, it builds anticipation. It tells him there's history between you, but it also hints at future. Because if you can't stop thinking about last time, it makes him wonder what will happen next time. That's how you keep the spark alive. Not by giving everything away, but by reminding him that the connection between you is something that still burns, even when you're apart. So don't overthink it. Say it once softly and mean it. Because when you say, I can't stop thinking about what you did last time, what he really hears is, you still have my attention. You still have my energy. You still have me thinking about you. And that's the kind of thought a man never forgets. This is the kind of phrase that makes every man stop breathing for a second. Because when a woman says, you have no idea how much I want you right now, it's not just about physical desire. It's about vulnerability through confidence. You're admitting something raw and honest, that you're feeling something you can't hide anymore. And that level of openness hits a man harder than any perfectly rehearsed line ever could. Most of the time, men are the ones expected to initiate, to show interest, to take the first step. So when you turn the tables, when you express desire first, it completely disarms him. Suddenly, he's not chasing approval, he's being chosen. And that, to a man, is intoxicating. But what makes this line work so beautifully is how it said, it's not loud, it's not over the top, it's quiet, controlled. Like you're trying to keep it together and failing just a little. Maybe your voice lowers, your words slow down, your eyes linger on him longer than they should. Because here's the truth, men don't just respond to words, they respond to energy. And when you say, you have no idea how much I want you right now, with that mix of softness and sincerity, it sends a wave through him, one that feels both sensual and emotional. It tells him you're not playing games. You're not trying to manipulate. You're being real. You're allowing him to see your desire, and that's something most men rarely get from women. And here's the beauty of it. It makes him feel safe to express his own, because desire, when it's mutual, becomes connection. So The next time the moment feels right, when the tension's thick, when your heart's racing just a bit faster, don't overthink it. Let it slip out naturally. You have no idea how much I want you right now. Then pause. Let him feel it. Let him see that look in your eyes that says you mean every word, because at that moment, you're not just turning him on, you're letting him in. And that right there is what makes desire unforgettable. So there you have it, 6 phrases that don't just turn a man on, but connect with him on a deeper level. Remember, real dirty talk isn't about being explicit. It's about being intentional. It's about letting your confidence, your warmth, and your energy speak louder than the words themselves. If this resonated with you, tell me in the comments, which phrase would you be bold enough to use first? And don't forget to subscribe, and share this video with a friend who deserves to feel powerful in her own feminine energy.